In a recent interview, Jimin, a member of BTS, revealed surprising facts regarding the contract signed by Jungkook. According to Jimin, the contract had a very strict and unusual clause, which surprised even the other BTS members. Jimin stated that Jungkook, as the youngest member, was often under more pressure in terms of contracts and responsibilities. Jungkook has a huge burden on his shoulders. The contract he signed had a lot of unusual clauses, and it was a shock to all of us, Jimin said in the interview. This revelation caused various speculations among ARMY, as BTS fans are called. Many questioned the content of the contract and how it affected Jungkook's mental and physical health. Meanwhile, the agency has not yet given an official statement on this matter. However, Jimin's admission opens a wider discussion about the pressures faced by K-pop idols, especially those at the peak of popularity such as BTS. Armies around the world showed their support for Jungkook through social media, with the hashtag #ProtectJungkook becoming a trending topic. They hope that the agency can be more transparent and provide better protection to its artists. That Jimin's confession is a reminder that behind the glitter of the entertainment world, there are challenges and pressures that are not visible to the public. Hopefully, with the attention from the public, the working conditions of K-pop idols can be better in the future. Jimin never intended to make the world shake with his one sentence. However, what came out of his mouth in a closed-door interview session that was later leaked to the public changed the course of the conversation across the global fandom. In the tense conference room, his soft voice slipped through like a calm storm. Jungkook signed a contract that no one would believe, not even us when we heard it. And for a moment, the world stopped. What does that mean? What kind of contract could BTS members themselves be surprised by? What was so crazy that Jimin, known as one of the most secretive members on internal issues, felt the need to voice it? Over the years, speculation regarding the pressures of the K-pop industry has continued to emerge. But this time, no one expected that Big Hit's golden boy, Jungkook, the golden magne, the face of a new generation, turned out to be entangled in something much more complicated than just ordinary career obligations. Later leaks from anonymous sources, including an unnamed former agency staffer, corroborated Jimin's statement. From the information that sticks out, it is known that Jungkook's contract contains a special clause that is touted as a contract of absolute devotion. This term may sound like a dystopian fiction script, but in reality, according to documents that were briefly scattered on limited platforms before being deleted, the contract contains an astonishing number of terms. Jungkook must maintain a flawless image in the public eye for the duration of the contract, including a ban on romantic relationships, limiting self-expression outside the official schedule, to restrictions on the right to voice personal opinions related to politics, religion, or social issues. This sparked a heated debate among the ARMY. Many have asked, is this the price one has to pay to become a global symbol? Did Jungkook know the entire contents of the contract when he signed it? Or was he, like many young artists, in a position where refusing was not an option? The feeling of betrayal slowly crept in the hearts of the fans. Not against Jungkook, of course, but against a system that allows one to be trapped in an almost inhuman commitment. ARMY, a community that has long been known as one of the most active and vocal fan bases, now finds themselves at a crossroads between love and anger. Are they just spectators in a big charade controlled by money and image? In his next interview, Jimin couldn't cover up his anxiety. He said he felt guilty for not realizing earlier how deep Jungkook's burden was. We all thought we were going through the same thing, but it turned out that the burden was not shared equally, he said with teary eyes. There are things we don't know or don't want to know, but now, we cannot be silent. This remark made many people wonder, if Jimin didn't know, who knew? And why has Jungkook never once complained in public? Is he too loyal, too afraid, or too bound to tell the truth? Attention was then drawn to Jungkook's attitude over the past few years. Suddenly, seemingly ordinary moments begin to be seen in a different light. His tired eyes during a midnight live broadcast, his silence during an interview about the future of the group, or even his overly diplomatic answers when asked about his personal dreams. All of them are now pieces of a puzzle that is slowly forming a bigger picture. A young man struggling behind a professional smile, sacrificing his freedom for something bigger than himself. That on social media, the debate is heating up. Some question the integrity of the agency. Was Big Hit, now HYB, too focused on expansion and profit to forget that they were managing people, not products? Several online petitions demanded transparency from the company, including a request that the artist's contractual clauses be made public. On the other hand, there are those who try to defend, stating that all this may be voluntarily agreed to in order to secure an outstanding career. However, the question that remains hangs: can one agree to something voluntarily if the available options are only one? The story became even deeper and emotional when an insider revealed that during his last world tour, Jungkook once asked for more than 48 hours of alone time without any contact with staff or members. He simply told the manager, "I want to remember what it's like to be human." The statement pierced the hearts of fans who all this time watched the idol from the screen, not knowing that behind the incredible performance was hidden a simple longing for freedom, to walk without a camera, eat without being photographed, laugh without censorship. Jimin also revealed that at the time, they just thought Jungkook needed a break, without realizing that it was some kind of breaking point. If I knew, I would probably accompany him, or at least prevent him from feeling like he has to bear it alone, Jimin said, bowing his head. Some media outlets have begun to attribute this fact to various odd events in recent months, including the sudden cancellation of several live broadcasts, the seemingly awkward interaction between Jungkook and several agency representatives during a press conference, to his decision not to be active on social media for a period of time. One by one, the moment is now seen not as a coincidence, but as part of a story that was never told. What shook things up the most, perhaps, was the unverified but widespread news that Jungkook had actually filed for a contract review months ago. The request, according to an anonymous source claiming to be part of the agency's legal team, was flatly rejected on the grounds that the contract is absolutely valid until 2027, with major financial consequences if violated. Is Jungkook now trapped in a golden trap, looking successful from the outside, but hollow from the inside? This question casts a shadow on the fan community and the public at large. Some psychologists interviewed by Korean media voiced serious concerns about the pressures young idols face, likening these conditions to years of psychological exploitation in the industry. They stated that what Jungkook experienced could be a symbol of a system that is time to be overhauled. However, in the midst of all this, Jungkook remained silent. There is no official statement from him. There was no clarification from the agency. And it was precisely in that silence that Jimin's voice echoed louder. He has opened the door. Although not everyone is ready to see what is behind it, the army was now standing in front of that door, with mixed emotions: love, anger, confusion, and fear. They know this story isn't over. In fact, perhaps, this is just the beginning of a much darker truth than they imagined. But one thing is certain. The voice of a friend like Jimin is capable of breaking a silence that has lasted too long, and perhaps, just maybe, it is enough to initiate change. That night, Seoul's sky looked darker than usual. Perhaps not so much because of the clouds, but because of the hearts of millions of people who began to feel that something was wrong with the idol they had held dear for so many years. Jimin, who had been known as the guardian of the group's secrets, finally opened the lock of the door that had only been guessed through the look in his eyes and a forced smile. And when that door opened, everyone began to come to their senses. What they had seen all this time was only the surface of a much more complicated and dark depth. In various online discussion forums, initially divided voices began to form one large string. Armies from different countries shared moments when they felt Jungkook looked different. Some recalled how he avoided questions about the holidays. Others rediscussed his old videos in which he said that not everything that shines is light. Now, those words feel like a neglected clue. A hint from someone who had been screaming in silence for a long time, waiting for the moment where someone was brave enough to voice it for him. As it turned out, it was Jimin. The media began to dig deeper, replay old interviews, look for loopholes, look for moments. In an interview last year, Jungkook said, "Sometimes, I even forget who I am when I'm not in front of the camera. In the past, it sounded like a poetic quote from an artist. Now, it sounded like the silent scream of a young man who was slowly losing his identity in order to fulfill the contract that binds his soul and body. And behind all that, another no less surprising news emerged. Jungkook is said to have rejected an international solo project that was promised as a stepping stone to Hollywood. The reason for this was not fear or distrust, but because his contract prohibited him from collaborating with external parties without the full permission of the agency. Worse, the permission was granted only if the project was directly profitable for the agency, regardless of whether it corresponded to the artist's personal dreams. His talent is incredible, but he is locked in a box that is too narrow, said one global music producer who had tried to lure Jungkook to a major musical film project. And the box, as the insider further explained, is not just professional in nature. In the contract, there are clauses that indirectly limit personal development, including the right to additional education beyond the training provided by the agency, to restrictions on the use of personal time for more than 72 hours. If there is a violation of this, the consequence will be not only a financial penalty, but also a potential freezing of the project in which the artist is involved. That is, a career can be parked at any time, simply because a person wants to have a little breathing room.